Welcome to the Ghost Tea Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Willow, a clairvoyant since childhood, paranormal investigator, and a witch. Today, we're going to talk about soulmates and twin flames and what the difference is between the two and what their purpose is in our lives. As always, before we jump in, I want to remind you that everyone has different views on things, and that's okay. I don't ask you to believe what I do, I just want to share what I've found in my personal path with others. Now, let's get to the tea. All right, a subject that I've been putting off because I know it's going to be a big one, and I know it's going to be one that a lot of people want to hear about. Soulmates and twin flames. I'm just going to apologize right off the bat because I am going to definitely offend some people, and I'm definitely going to make some people say, "What, Ariel? I thought you were on my side." I know. I will let you down in this episode, I promise, in some way or another. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong. I am an absolute sap when it comes to love. I love love. I love romance. I am a sappy romantic. I grew up on sappy, cheesy love romance movies and books. Just Nora Ephron movies for the win. Like, I will just say that. However, in the spirit realm, there's a different way of looking at things, and it's not necessarily bad. It's just different. So soulmates, let's start there because I feel like that's the one that most people have a little bit of knowledge on, and I'll just go into that first so that we can kind of start somewhere. So soulmates are people who are, or souls that are typically part of your soul family. So a soul family is a group of souls that incarnate together, who are grouped together from when they incarnate originally or separate from source energy. So it's kind of like fish eggs. I hate to compare it to that. That's such a disgusting comparison. Why am I comparing it to that? I have no idea. But it's kind of like fish eggs where there's different cells, but they're all individual souls, but they're all part of this bigger cell. And when you incarnate, you have a bunch of different roles in that lifetime. So maybe one of the souls within that soul family has the role of the mom of one of the other souls. And then another one has the role of a romantic partner for another one of the cells. So it's just one of those things where all of you are working in tandem to help each other learn different things and different lessons and have different experiences within that lifetime. So the reason why I mention all of that is because soulmates, contrary to popular belief, are not always romantic. They can be platonic, they can be romantic, but they can also just be familial. It really just depends on the soul and what you've decided. So now that we kind of know what a soulmate can be, what is their purpose? Well, a soulmate's purpose is to definitely help us learn lessons. And this doesn't mean that if you are with someone romantically and you think that they're your soulmate or you feel that they're your soulmate, it doesn't mean that you're not going to end up with them forever. It simply means that not only are they someone who's very important to you in your life, but they're someone who teaches you lessons, if not a lesson in your life that is significant. So for example, I'm going to use a friend that I had for, over 10 years, I think. And we were very, very, very close. And I loved them with my whole heart. Like, they were just absolutely the person that I would go to for everything. Every time I wanted to get advice on anything, furniture advice, relationship advice, anything, I would go to them. And I trusted their judgment so much. And they were a huge support to me through many different phases in my life. And I absolutely considered them and still consider them a soulmate. However, they have since left my life, and it was an amicable break, but it was very painful. And I know that their purpose in my lifetime was to help shape me into who I am today. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without the experiences that I have had with them in my life. But they are someone who I knew and I know is a soulmate of mine. And whether or not we meet up again and we connect again, I don't know. But regardless, they were someone who taught me a very important lesson. So now I'm sure you're probably thinking of all of the people in your life that have taught you lessons. And some of those people you might be like, okay, there's no way that that person is a soulmate for me. So I hate to say it, but usually soulmates are people that can also teach us very painful lessons. So there's a good possibility that your ex is one of your soulmates. I hate to say it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to break that to you, but it is very possible because certain people in our lives, even though they have painful experiences with us, teach us valuable lessons that we would have not learned had we not been in a relationship with them or known them in our lifetimes. So how do you know that someone is a soulmate for you? So a soulmate is going to be someone that you very quickly feel close to. There's someone that you have a very strong connection to that maybe you don't know why you feel so drawn to them, but you just have this very strong connection. And whether that connection turns volatile or stays very supportive and loving, that person is someone that feels somewhat familiar to you or feels safe to you because they are someone who you know on a soul level. And it kind of gets confusing because this can be something that relates to past life. So if you've had a past life with someone, you can have those same feelings. So it kind of, there's a really thin line between the soulmate connection we have with people and past life connections we have with people. And you can have both, which makes it even more complicated. So having a soulmate connection is definitely something that is going to be more so something where they're teaching you lessons in this lifetime that are incredibly valuable to you. Whereas if they were just a past life connection, like you've had a past life with them, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a significant lesson that you learn from them in this lifetime. So that can be an indicator that they're a soulmate rather than a past life connection. But with romantic relationships in particular, with a soulmate, it's going to feel familiar. It's going to feel like that strong connection that you have with someone. And it could very well be past life connections as well. A lot of the people that we're with romantically, we do tend to have past life connections with in some capacity. But it can also be that you are meant to learn something or multiple things from that person. So it is very possible that the feeling that you get around your romantic partner, that's that very strong connection and that strong magnetic pull, is something that is pulling you to them because your soul knows that you need to have them in your life in order to learn something. So I know that's a little bit complicated, but since we've gone over soulmates, at least what I know to go over them, and obviously if you guys have any questions, you can just send them in to me and I'll answer them as best as I can. But let's move on to twin flames because this is where people get confused. Oh my goodness. Okay, twin flames. I'm going to tell you right now, I may insult you and I am so sorry about it in advance. I do not believe that every single person in every single lifetime has a twin flame. I know, I said it. I pulled off the Band-Aid. I am so sorry. I don't know where the belief came from that everybody has a twin flame in each lifetime because it just simply isn't true. Another thing that is going to be against contrary belief that I'm going to say is that it is not two halves of the same soul. It's just not. That's not what a twin flame is, at least in my understanding. Obviously, all of this, basically everything that I say in my podcast is my opinion or things that I've learned from beings around me. So it is very much take it with a grain of salt. But in all of my asking and probing and, trying to get information about twin flames from beings around me, none of them have confirmed that it is one soul split into two souls. It just simply is not what that is. So what is a twin flame? So from what I've learned and what I've been told, a twin flame is similar to a soulmate, but the connection between twin flames is going to be different. And a lot of people say that there are twin flame separations, there's twin flame things where you're chasing after each other, and just really weird circumstances that I don't understand, because that is not the case. If you have a twin flame connection with someone, that relationship is very, very connected. Both partners obviously aren't going to be perfect for each other. They're not going to be perfect people, and they're not some sort of, gods on earth or anything, but they are two souls that are very, very determined to try to create a very nurturing, very compassionate, very understanding, and very impactful relationship for both of the partners within that connection. So think of influential couples who obviously weren't perfect people, but when they were together, they were an amazing pair. They were people who made incredible progress in the world around them and made impacts on their community and the people around them. And they were positive impacts. Twin flame relationships are people that when together are this fiery, beautiful flame of influence and change and growth for themselves as souls, but also the people and the world around them. So if everybody had that kind of connection in every single lifetime that they had, it would just be insane. Like, I can't even imagine a world where we would have every single person having those connections. Another thing that I commonly see with twin flame stuff is that people kind of give it as an excuse to stay in really toxic or abusive situations. And that really scares me, because twin flame relationships, and this is another reason why I don't believe that twin flame separation and twin flame, chasing and hunter and, things like that are a thing. Because in a twin flame relationship, it's something that even though two partners have some issues, they are very determined to make it work and work out their issues and keep that connection. Whereas soulmates may get to a point where they understand that that person has completed their role in that person's life and they separate ways. And that's why it's kind of hard to tell whether or not a twin flame connection is a twin flame connection unless those partners have been together for quite a while, because you have to kind of see it build up. And I do believe that I know some people in my life who have twin flame connections. That friend that I was mentioning earlier, I do believe that their marriage, in that marriage, they are twin flames, because they've been through a lot and they have just pioneered with each other and have really made efforts to stay together. And it's just so impressive to see. But not only that, but they are so impactful to the people around them, like their friends, but also as a couple are so impactful in a positive way to the people around them. So how would you know if you were in a twin flame relationship? Some of the signs are that they may not feel familiar, but they are going to feel very significant in your life and very impactful, and you're just kind of magnetically drawn to them. Now, granted, you're going to feel some of similar things to being with a soulmate. So it is going to initially feel very much like a soulmate connection. So there's that magnetic draw, there's that fiery connection, but there's also going to be this very strong commitment to each other. Both partners are going to feel this very deep want to make the connection work and make it last. And not just make it last, like holding together broken pieces, but individually healing themselves, individually working on themselves, and also healing the past connections that they may have had with other people that were impactful negatively to them, and healing those through that connection in a very healthy and positive way. So in other words, it's just kind of two independent people who are independent together, but they have this very loving connection where it's this beautiful support, compassion, just absolute cheerleader, always in your corner, always willing to take the time to try to be there for you in whatever way they can, and work with the strengths that they have to help support you. So even though, like I said, regardless of whether you're in a soulmate or a twin flame connection, there are always going to be things in that relationship that you're going to have to work through, because soulmate connections, twin flame connections, whatever it is, those connections are not going to be perfect. They're not going to be rainbows and butterflies. It's not going to be easy peasy, like we always just know what to say to each other and we're so supportive of each other. There are going to be times where the relationship is hard. There's going to be hard struggles, hard times, hard experiences that you go through with each other. But when you go through that connection with a soulmate, that may be something that if the experience is too hard, and it's something that you feel is not going to benefit both people by trying to continue the relationship, that may be a soulmate connection, because it's something where you've both learned a lesson. You realize that you've kind of gotten to the point where you're not able to help each other grow anymore. You're not able to help support each other in the way that you can accommodate with where you are in life. And you're just ready to break that connection because you know that it's going to be more beneficial if you do. And soulmate connections, when they part ways, tend to be something where you don't really see those people come back together. However, with twin flames, it's very common to see that twin flames, even after they get to the point where maybe they don't feel like it's going to work out, they will come back to each other. Like, they will be in a relationship and they'll break up and then they'll come back to each other, and then they'll break up and then they'll come back to each other, and they'll break up and they'll come back to each other, because ultimately that is the person that they know, that is the person that is safe for them, that is the person that helps them grow, and it is a very magnetic connection. And it's not a magnetic connection abuse-wise. Like, it's not some kind of Stockholm syndrome thing where you're coming back to something you know, even though you know it's bad for you. You're coming back to it because you know that it's healthy for you, and that connection really helped you grow, and it helped you feel supported and was what you needed in a relationship. So there's a difference there as well with abusive relationships and toxic relationships and twin flames. So I can't think of anything else that I have to go over on this subject, but I know that I'm missing something. So obviously, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out and leave the question for me, either by email, going to my website, www.arielwillow.com, and leaving the question via the contact form, and just say, I have a question for the podcast. Or you can go to the anchor.fm/Ghost Tea Podcast page and go to the message button where you can leave an audio message for me to answer on my next Q&A session. Also, if you guys want to book any sessions with me, feel free to look at my services page on my website and look at all of the services that I offer. Sessions are booked via a wait list, so please feel free to sign up for that, and then we can get in contact with you when we have openings to put you on my calendar. But as always, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep learning, and I will definitely talk to you guys again soon.